I teach this at UWM all the time, but I do think it's really good to do some of like the refresher things in reference to this. Um, I think that when we're showing real estate, we should be making it an experience for clients. And so, let me share my screen. I definitely want like tonight to be a little bit of interactive because I think it's important when I teach this in person. I make sure that it's super interactive as well. What are you guys doing when you are showing properties to buyers? Like, what are you doing for like preparation work before you show clients? Who wants to speak?
I don't have any clients yet, Betsy. I can't share.
Who's that? Carmen? Okay.
Yes.
Jeff, Kim, Sandra, Veda, what are you guys doing to prep?
Yeah, sorry. So I got some kids in the background, but that
That's okay.
no big deal, right? That's a life. The things I do is I try to get there early, especially to make sure everything's in good order and that I can get everything set up, get lights on, make sure there's no problems. I recently was doing a series of showings and I didn't have time to get there ahead of them because they were trailing along with me, and there was a major water leak because it was in the winter. And so they got to experience, that kind of side of it for me too. But the biggest thing is making sure the house is ready to go and presentable for them. And if there's any issues, staying on top of that and getting ahead of it.
Okay. What do you bring to the showing with you, Jeff?
I always bring my computer. I always have cards. I always have handouts that explain the details of the home that are very brief and succinct and to the point for the buyers or, whoever shows up, what type of showing it is or anything like that. Um, Depending on, who I'm catering to or what type of home it is might dictate if I bring anything else like, treats or anything or other things to share. But that's usually it for me.
Okay. Chris, Joda, what do you bring to a showing when you show a property?
A lot. So, the first thing we do is you want me to kind of like go through everything that I do or just everything that I
I
bring?
want to know what you bring to the showing.
Yeah, so obviously I bring the broker synopsis for me. Um, I I specifically request a canary report from the lender that we work with. So canary report is like it's almost like a full CMA that we would do for a listing. But the canary report goes
Oh,
into
bye-bye.
the
See you
details.
later.
So it goes into the detail of what a lender may see the price at. It also goes into what they could potentially rent that property out for. It gives us comps for all those things. It's really in depth. Love that. I bring a 360 report for them to view, which is basically the MLS sheet for them. We print a realist report from the MLS as well. We have a pre-showing questionnaire that we go through, so that gives them everything, as far as the property, listing date, price, days on market. We run a tax number for them, so I print that for them as well. I run a tax number on what that they can expect the taxes to be because we know the tax number is going to change when they buy the property, which plays a big part in their month-to-month cost. So we also let them know about all the appliances in that same sheet. We go over all the ages of all the main appliances there, like HVAC, water heater, roof. Um, and then we also let them know what the flood code is there, because that also will change the monthly payment if it's in a flood zone. So we print that questionnaire. We have the canary report, uh, MLS sheets. We also print all the disclosures, like flood disclosures, seller disclosures, uh, HOA docs, the flood disclosures as well. And then we also have the showing time page that shows them, the order of the properties that we're gonna be seeing.
So, anybody want to drop in the chat or unmute themselves? What is the purpose of showing a house?
Betsy, does this apply to open houses as well, or this is just bringing us a client?
If are you taking the client to the open house or are you hosting an open house?
No, I host the open house.
Yeah,
That
I
I've
mean,
done plenty of.
I got some stuff that you could do for open houses, but right now we're just talking about just showing a
Okay.
property.
Okay.
To write
So
an
All right.
offer.
what'd you say, Chris?
To write an offer.
Exactly. So do you think that if Chris showed you a house that you would have enough information to write an offer, yes or no?
Are you questioning
Yes,
me?
yes,
Anybody?
Oh, yes.
yes, yes, yes.
Why?
Because he's got everything you need to know. He's got how much the payment's going to be, what the property's worth, all the disclosures, what needs to be repaired or not. Um, all of it. He's got everything you need to know.
Right. So agents must like to waste time, right, Sandra?
No.
Agents must like to waste a lot of time because here's the thing. Have you been standing in a property and you've showed three houses and the client goes, "Well, I might make an offer, but I got to call the lender to ask what the payment's going to be." Has that happened to anybody? Nobody?
It has before I started doing all the diligence.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the thing about it is like people will buy something if they have clarity about what it is. And the showing should also be an experience. One of the reasons why I harp so much on the agents to do all the due diligence is because they shouldn't be flustered in the showing experience because it's not showing homes. That's why we call it the showing experience. When you are flustered and you are not organized, it's a bad vibe. And we can't always rely on the listing agents. So, one of the things that Chris did not mention, so he'll learn one thing, is the needs wants analysis. So, the needs wants analysis that we actually use is right here. Um, Where's my UWM documents? Uh, Here we go. So we have a needs wants analysis. You should have this on all of your buyers. And I think that people that are in the industry, 10 years, they get lazy, they stop filling these out. The two things that are critical on can you guys see my screen still? Yes?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So the two things that are critical is one, the non-negotiables, and two, the which is the hard no's and the absolute yeses. One of the reasons why you want to have your needs wants analysis at the showing with you is because it becomes a contract with you and the buyer. If I'm standing inside a property with a client and they're unwilling to make an offer, then either the needs wants analysis is wrong or they lied to me, right? Because, and it also can be that at the end of the day, their needs have changed. Their needs have changed. Sometimes needs change. Sometimes if you're shopping with a client for a while, I mean, my opinion is if someone says they want to buy a house and you're not bringing them the product that they want and they haven't seen it yet, that's a problem. You shouldn't really work for people unless it's a big purchase for more than 3 to 6 months. But at the end of the day, the needs wants analysis is something we reference back to in the showing. So here's a needs wants analysis that we use. Happy to send you a copy of it. We teach it in the academy as well. Very, very simple. This isn't a doctrine. And most of the time, if you let a client speak, but you definitely want to ask, what are your hard no's? What are your absolute yeses? How many people that are selling real estate in Florida are speaking to clients maybe from New York or even like Illinois, they do not want a pool. Sometimes that's a hard no for people. They don't want a pool. They don't want to deal with the pool. Absolute yeses might be a screened in lanai. Okay. So this is location and lifestyle. A couple of questions in regards to that. Timeline and current housing situation, accessibility or special needs, financing and budget, and then home style and features. Pretty simple. Additional notes, agency status, and contact information. That's it. Now, how many of you do a needs wants analysis right now? Are you doing this with buyers?
Do. This is Vita. I do, Betsy.
Okay, great. Do you send the needs wants analysis to the loan officer?
No, we kind of have a discussion, or I might just send an email that says, hey, this is what they're looking for. And, this is the price range that they want the mortgage payment to be.
Okay. I tell every single agent that I know that lenders annoy us sometimes, but we also set them up for failure. If you have all of this data on a client and you are going to set the free financial consultation, not the pre-approval, the free financial consultation, why would we not send the needs and wants analysis to the loan officer? Now the loan officer can talk about things like location, lifestyle, all these different things instead of just talking about straight financing that's very painful. Also, in your notes section, you can write things that are important to the client. You have the hard no's and the absolute yeses. So that needs to be in your showing folder. Okay. This is the showing experience that Chris and I were talking about. But Chris, this is going to be a good review for you as well because there's a couple of things on here that are pertinent that I hope you are doing. I trust you, but I just want to confirm as we go along. The first thing that we do is we send a calendar invite. When I send someone a calendar invite or you get a calendar invite, what do you do when you get the calendar invite? What does it say on the invite? Yes or no, correct? It says yes or no. So when you get that calendar invite and you accept a calendar invite for a meeting, what does that mean when you say yes to the meeting? This is going to be interactive, so y'all are going to have to participate. If someone sends you a calendar invite and you say yes and accept the invite, what does that mean?
You're committed.
You're committed. And what else does it mean? You're going to show up, right? So, like when you send a calendar invite to a client for every single showing, they've committed to show up. Second of all, when you send the calendar invite and you use the location in Gmail, you can put a location for each property that you're going to show. So instead of getting in the car, pulling out the folder, texting them the next address, because obviously we're not putting clients in the car. This is part of creating a seamless experience for the buyer. We want the experience, the vibe, the environment to be nice. So we send out calendar invites. Please use if you have Stellar MLS, not sure where everyone is located at tonight, but if you have Stellar MLS, please use the schedule showing features and showing time. A bad showing experience is we drove 30 minutes over here and now we're backtracking to go 30 minutes over here because you just didn't schedule correctly. The other thing that I tell people is you should never be showing more than 5 homes. Three is my favorite number, but if you're showing 10 properties, then you didn't do a proper needs wants analysis or you didn't do your due diligence on every property. Because let's say I have a client that's pre-approved at 450 and now they're going from looking in St. Pete to up in New Tampa, where one of the properties has a $4,000 a year HOA fee and it's in a flood zone. They might not even be approved for the house. But you just got the list off Zillow from them and started scheduling the showings because that's what they wanted to do. So one of the things that we teach inside the academy and I teach the agents on my team is you are driving the bus. You can let them feel like they're in control, but you're driving the bus. So when a client sends you all of these houses they want to see, by doing the due diligence Chris talked about, you're going to weed some of those things out. How many of you guys have had a buyer that came up with $10,000 all of a sudden? Like poof, they got 10,000 more dollars. Well, that's happened to me because I've called a listing agent and said, "Hey, you're listed at 450. My client needs $10,000 in concessions. Is that even something that your seller's willing to do?" Because if they tell me no, why am I going to take the client out and see the house? If a listing agent says, "Carmen, I'm not going to give you the $10,000 your client needs," what would you do? Show the house or call your client?
Show the house?
No. You would call the client and you would
Sorry.
say, you would say, Carmen, this is what you would say. You'd say, "Hey, Ellie, I know you wanted to stay at the budget of 450 and I've talked to your lender and you need $10,000 in concessions. I just spoke with Chris Joda, he's the listing agent. They paid this much for the house and they're listed at 450. They're not interested in a $10,000 concession. So, do you want to come up with the $10,000 and take a look at the home, or should we mark this one off the list? Because do you guys want to go in stores and shop in expensive stores where you can't afford to buy anything? Is that a fun
No,
experience?
no, it isn't.
It's horrible, right? You do not want to be at the Louis Vuitton store, which I would never buy that shit. But I can buy the best backpack from Walmart. You guys know me. But why would you want to go in a store where you can see all these nice things and not purchase them? Isn't that a painful experience?
Sure is. Yep,
So we
been
don't want
there.
to do that to buyers because now they might fall in love with that house that they can't afford and disregard one of the ones that they can. So that's the point of doing this due diligence. We always want to print off the confirmation email that you find from the Louis is Ellie's best friend. Of course it is. Well, I just like, people will buy what is it, Lululemon pants, and I'll go to Fabletics because it's a cheaper membership. That's just my style. But not to knock anyone's style. I have things that nice things. I like to drive a nice car. Everybody wants nice things, but we also have to stay within our affordability. And home affordability today is different. So now we also want to print off the showing confirmation sheet because listing agents are very unorganized. The other thing is we always want to look at the MLS attachments. And every time I teach this class, I just pray for the agent that's going to come up on the screen here because most listing agents are terrible. And I want you to apply this on the listing side. How can somebody make an offer on your listing when they don't have proper documents? Chris Joda, how long does it take you to prepare for a listing? Approximately. Chris, did you hear me? You're on mute, so unmute yourself at any time. I'll let you jump in. But listing preparation for us is very, very specific as well. So I want to make sure you guys understand that all this showing stuff is also applicable on the listing side. So when we go into Stellar here, we have a new listing. Let's pick this one in Tampa here. And nice photo. They've got some roof AC in the listing description. I really like that. They actually do have some attachments. Now, they have one addendum here. Flood disclosure, licensee disclosure of interest, seller property disclosure. I love that. So all of these documents, why would you not review the seller property disclosure or the flood disclosure prior to selling a home? Does that make sense to anybody? Because you might show a property. What if you didn't review the seller's disclosure and it said that there had been a previous sinkhole that had not been mitigated? Don't you think that your client should have the choice of viewing that house prior to the showing and you should disclose that information to them? Give me a yay or a nay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So see how I've dumbed down this list? Like Sandra, if you have a client that sends you 10 properties and you go to do all this due diligence, now you've retracted and you've actually probably got 5 homes to show instead of
Yep.
10 because process of elimination. And guess what? There are 5 homes that Sandra's client can afford that have good seller's disclosures. And I'm not saying that there's houses right now that flooded that are beautiful and remodeled, but your client should have the right to choose and know that information up front. So you want to review all these things. You also should go into Realist and you should look and see what the property, what the seller paid for the property. Why is that important to me?
Because you want to know how much flexibility they have in your offer. Like, if you're offering them, if the asking price is what they owe on the house, you want to know if they've got some
Absolutely.
room
So
to.
obviously, when you guys get a client and they're pre-approved at 450, how far up in today's market are you going in search price? Like how far over 450 do you go?
I
Or do you
don't
go over 450?
don't go over 450. I don't.
Why?
Well, because I'm probably going to ask for concessions and get a lot of, a bit of closing cost. So I will include that in my offer, and it's typically not going to be more than, my client can has been approved for.
Have you ever heard the saying, everything's negotiable in life?
Yes, indeed.
So what if you just missed out on a house that's been on the market at 465 for 200 days and you could have made one phone call to that listing agent and said, "Are you willing to sell for 450?" That's
Yeah.
possible, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So what I do is I go at least about 10 grand over. Now, what I will tell you, Sandra, is that I would probably, if it was a property that I pulled, call the listing agent prior to sending it to my client. Because what I wouldn't want to do is show them something over their budget. But I also know that a lot of clients have a list of things that they want and they want a specific price, but they want a Rolls Royce for a Pinto cost, correct?
Yes.
So think about this. You can fall in love with something and be willing to spend a little bit more money and pay a little bit more if it checks all of your boxes too. So sometimes if you've spoken to the lender, hey, can this client go up to 460? Can they afford 455? But that's why the due diligence is so important because at the end of the day, if you call the lender and get the lender to say, yes, they could afford that specific house at that price, then it's worth showing. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
So those are just some things that I want you guys to think about when you're searching in the MLS. And here you have the property details, all the stuff in Realist on this property, rating, lifestyle. Realist got a facelift if you haven't been in here in a while. But here's the last market recording date, 2007. They paid $92,000 for this house. Okay. Is this a new build? Let me see. Oh, no, sorry, 2014. Um, my dog is in rare form tonight. 2000. Oh, da, 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 da. Let me see here. No, this property's changed hands 1,000 times. Oh, well, they took a mortgage out, so this must be new construction. Let me see what we got. Nope. Maybe they renovated it. Looks renovated. Yep, updated. Yep, 2026 it was renovated. So here we know when you're looking here in 2015 that they took a mortgage out for 400,000. So they borrowed money against the property, which is kind of interesting. And that was a refi. Interesting, but they're listed at 347,000. This is definitely a conversation. This is why the due diligence is so important. You can print that realist sheet out. You can also, I like RPR too as a property report. If you don't have access to all that stuff that Chris was talking about, canaries and all those different things, you can certainly use RPR. But you want to be very, very educated as you're walking through the home, being able to say, hey, 2914 North 16th Street. I know this and this and this about the property. We do not use sparkle, glitter, stickers. Our showing folders are literally these plain showing folders. And we staple the documents that we keep on the front and we put the other documents on the inside. Also, remember when you print the MLS sheet, you probably don't want to have the listing agent's phone number on there and hand that over to your client. So just pay a little bit of attention. But doing all this research in the MLS is critical prior to doing that. We'll also send you a copy of our document here. Now, one thing I want to tell you guys about thinking like a marketer is that listing agents get very annoyed when buyer's agents are really stupid. Like this person's listing, they took some time to attach things to the MLS. I would have had a frequently asked questions sheet and some other things like that. But it says right here, brand new roof, 2006 AC system, 2006 water heater. How does the listing agent feel if I call the listing agent and say, I have a couple questions for you. Hey, how old is the roof? How does that make the listing agent feel?
Aggravated.
Exactly. So if you do get a request for a showing and you're driving in your car, the first thing you should say is like, "Hey, Ellie Lambert, it's Betsy Tinervin. My client sent me over 16th Street, your listing. I have not had a time to review the listing because we kind of scheduled this abruptly or whatever you want to say. We try to push buyers off as much as we can to do proper due diligence. But I would say to her, I apologize in advance if I ask you any questions that you have taken time to write down. As soon as I get to my computer, I'm going to review X, Y, and Z. That's if it's an emergency. If it's not an emergency, then what you should be doing is taking this showing information sheet, filling out all this information off the MLS first, and then calling the listing agent. And one of the main things that we ask the listing agent is the seller's motivation. Why are they selling? Why is that as important to me as probably what they paid for the house? Why is that important to me? Seller's motivation.
Because
Because you
that's
can,
what's get your offer accepted.
Correct. Elaborate a little bit, Chris, so they understand what you're saying.
Well, if it helps you structure your offer. So
Correct.
if they need to move somewhere, if they need to hurry up and sell because they're moving somewhere and they have a house under contract that they need to buy, well, they're going to be more inclined to negotiate or at least give you good terms for your offer. And then it helps you structure your offer better. Because if you know they need XYZ on the offer, if they need a quick close, if they need, all the money they can get because, they need the money to close on their other house, well, you know how to communicate with your buyers to put together the best offer to get that offer accepted.
Winner. Winning comment right there. So
And to
at the
speak
end
on
of
what
the
you
day,
said before, B, I'm sorry. Yeah, we take a lot of time to do due diligence before our listings. Sometimes it'll take 3 days, sometimes it'll take a week, but it all depends on how quick we can get all the due diligence done that we need to put the listing together in MLS.
if you're missing one piece of paper for a listing, Chris, do you make it live?
No, big no.
Chris has done that before. So on this showing information sheet, you ask the seller's motivation. Now, how good does it look to the buyer when Chris is walking through the showing and he says, hey, John and Jill Doe, I just wanted to let you know that this seller here is actually relocating to Virginia to be with her daughter. Her daughter's 9 months pregnant. She wants to be there when the baby is born. And the other thing is, you gotta schmooze the listing agent. When you guys call these listing agents and you sound like you're dead, hey, Ellie, this is Betsy. I just want to show your listing. I don't even want to work with someone like that. Like, act like you like your job. Hey, Ellie, this is Betsy Tinervin. Super excited to call you. And just so you know, when we list, we call you before you even call us. We send you an immediate text and call you when you request a showing on our property. Get to know you, get to know the buyers, have a conversation. But you, as a buyer's agent, if the listing agent doesn't call, should call them. Hey, Ellie, it's Betsy Tinervin. Really excited to show your property on 123 Main Street today. Just wanted to tell you, I got 20 years in the experience in the industry. I also have a great buyer, Chris Joda. Been working with him and his wife. They have two beautiful kids. They're relocating here. They were military veterans, blah, 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 blah. Well over pre-qualified. Actually, I'm calling you to vet your property specifically because if we do proceed with an offer, Miss Ellie, you're going to have a property specific pre-approval with your listing address on it. Because I know, Ellie, how it feels to be a listing agent and go under contract and be super embarrassed and come off the market. And I would never want to do that to you, Miss Ellie. So I'm gathering all my due diligence to make sure my clients are actually qualified for your home before we even step in the door. How does that sound? Now, do you think that Ellie wants to work with me? Do you think if I give Ellie an offer, 5,000 under ask, that she's going to take it? Absolutely. So I tell listing agents when I do this class in front of 300 people, you are a marketer. The minute that you pick up the phone to speak to Ellie Lambert, that listing agent, you are selling yourself, you are selling your client, you are building a relationship, and your offer is not just going to get accepted by the seller if you're not nice to that listing agent. We want that offer and also always compliment them. Oh my gosh, Chris, your listing was so amazing. My clients actually fell in love with this home because of your photographs, because of your listing description, Chris. Knowing darn well that's not the case, especially probably with Chris Joda, right? No, this is Chris's listing descriptions are really good. So, stroking the ego of the listing agent, really speaking to them, having a good conversation, filling out this sheet, That's what's going to get them to open up and then give you the seller motivation. You can't just come right out and be like, why are you selling? Now, reverse psychology with the listing agent is always, hey, Chris, I see you've been on the market 57 days. Do you have any offers? You always in sales want someone else to answer the question that you already know. Why? Because I want them to say it out of their mouth, not me dictate to them, well, you should really take my offer because you don't have any offer. I just want him to tell me. Well, Chris, it sounds like your sellers are super motivated. And what I heard you say, Chris, this is where you repeat back to Chris what he's told me. Your clients would like a longer close. They have a new construction home being built in 60 days. We could probably work that out if we proceed. Because I'm also talking to Chris like I'm already going to make an offer before I've seen the house. If I'm doing my due diligence and I'm wasting my time, this is a candidate for me and my clients. So this needs and wants analysis is what you do after the showings. Okay. So you have the upfront needs and wants analysis, then you have the after the showing. So you don't answer every question, but there's general impressions. What was your first impression? What are your favorite features? How do you feel about the size of the rooms, functionality, exterior, neighborhood? But the bottom is really critical because if I'm standing in the house after the showing and I say, Alexia, does this home meet your must haves? If not, what's missing? And she says yes. Then, when we are in the third property and I lay out all the folders and she said that it meets the must haves, I already know the payment, everything's right there. Why would Alexia not make an offer? So, this is my second accountability feature that is filled out after every single home is sold or showed. So, also, can you see yourself living in this house? Well, if they're wishy washy at the third showing and they said yes, I'm going to revert back to the paper. How does the property compare to other you've seen? We can't really ask that on the first showing. So that's the second or third. And then this is how you keep track of these things. You should also ask questions that does relate to them. Now we're going to show you a couple other cool things. So needs wants analysis, we went over that. You guys understand what that is. I like the 7 out of 10 rule. I tell every buyer that, hey, my job is to get you 7 out of the 10 things that you want. Amenities, price, location, whatever, 7 out of 10. It's never going to be a 10 out of 10. When you set expectations too high and you overpromise and underdeliver, you're just not a good real estate agent. So you got to be, make it applicable to reality. When you prep for showings, 3 times more likely to make an offer, 78% of offers within 3 showings, 65% faster closings because I've identified all of the flaws up front. If it is a 20-year-old roof, you should write that down. If you know that HVAC is on its last leg, but it has all the other features, you should write that down. So closings are faster, inspections are faster because I've identified all the problems. And 40% of people make a quicker decision. Your role is to sell homes, not open doors. You're not a tour guide. So these are statistics highlighting business cases for thorough preparation. Now, we went over the pre-showing research, running comparative market analysis, pulling MLS data, contacting the listing agent. I like 24 hours before showings. Something you could always say to the buyer is like, look, I know you guys are excited about seeing the house tonight. I would prefer to do proper due diligence. I can't do that in 2 hours. If it's a must or you're meeting a client for the first time, make sure you're transparent about that. We talked about scheduling correctly. We talked about completing the showing folder checklist. We talked about the pre-showing information sheet that I went over with you, writing that information down, reading it. Don't be highlighting on a sheet. Don't be doing this, that, or another. Take the time to write it out. Really be prepared. The buyer showing worksheet is for them, which is helping them afterwards, asking those questions. What did they like? A neighborhood evaluation, all that stuff. And now, Gamma, if you've not used Gamma, this is your link to a free version of Gamma. So feel free to scan this. We use this for buyers. We use this on the listing side. We use Gamma for everything. If you need a Gamma link, I'll get one over to you. You can send a message to the Thrive Thursday that you get text. My assistant will send you the link. But we're going to make a custom buyer facing showing presentation in a matter of 60 seconds. If you guys want to see me do this and it'll help you in your business, say yes or put a 1 in the chat. And this is going to be specific for the client. This is
Yes.
going to talk about their home buying goals. This is going to be a market snapshot. homes we're touring, all of that. And I'm going to give you the prompt. So this is the prompt that we're going to place into Gamma. And I made this very, very simple for you guys to copy and paste. So we'll send you an email with this prompt so you can continue to use it. So I'm going to go into Gamma. I'm going to create new. I'm going to click generate, and I'm going to paste the prompt here. Okay. Now you can see that this is, I'm going to leave this on probably, yeah, I'm going to do 10 cards. There are some things that you have to fill out. So I'm going to put real estate agent Betsy Tinervin with Mickey Mouse broker. You can put your brokerage there, guys. And I'm going to put Sean Washington, UWM lender. And my buyer's names here. Jill and John Doe. And my target market city is going to be Tampa today. And I remember from the needs wants analysis, the hard nose for Jill and John, because they're relocating from New York, is no pool. Their absolute yeses is must have screened in porch because they're from New York and they don't like bugs. And the lifestyle priorities is close to Wharton High School for their son. And the market snapshot, you can make this a neighborhood or a city state. I'm going to put New Tampa, Florida, because that's where Wharton High School is. And then you're going to fill this out for each property, the address, the price, the payment amount. For time's sake, I'm not going to do it. There's 2 in here. You can always copy and add more. Okay. So very simple to fill this out. I'm not going to change a lot of settings because I want you guys to see how simple this is. And I'm also going to use ChatGPT and show you how you can get your own prompt. So here I just have AI images and I'm going to click generate. And this is going to create a custom showing packet for Jill and John, your home tour guide for Jill and John, your agent, your lender. I repeat their priorities here for them. Their must-haves, their deal breakers, their lifestyle priorities. It's going to give me a little snapshot here of New Tampa real estate today. It's going to talk about pricing trends, competition level. How many of you guys think this is cool so far? Ellie puts 1. She followed the direction from before. Ellie puts 1 in the chat.
That's super helpful. I think it's super informative.
Chris, I've never showed you this before.
Come on, B. I've seen it 100 times.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I'm a bad team leader. I on the buy side, and then Chris, I'm gonna have Chris speak a little bit because while this is generating, one of the things that we're gonna do next is something that he didn't mention in his showing folders or listing is Chris, I'd like you to talk to us a little bit about a neighborhood guide and how you're using that with your showing folder because we can make one of those as well today, and then how you're using it with your listings, please.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so I think just like when you're going through that needs wants analysis sheet and you find out what areas they want to be in, or like the main area they want to be in. Like I have a client right now that wants to be specifically in like Carrollwood, South Tampa area. So I went ahead and made a neighborhood guide. It goes into, all the stats in the neighborhood, what the lifestyle is like. It shows them everything about what's near them, dining, gyms, grocery stores, everything that a buyer would really or a homeowner would really want near them. It goes into all those things. It also will. It also goes into telling them about the neighborhood specifically. So it'll tell them what the lifestyle is like in that specific neighborhood or area they're looking for. So when you present them with that, and then you couple that along with all the information that we do when we're doing due diligence for our buyers, it brings you. I think it ups the the ratio tremendously to get you closer to writing an offer, because you're not only just selling the property, you're selling the lifestyle, you're selling the neighborhood. So when they feel like they belong there or their people are there, they're more likely to, if that home has 7 out of 10 things, because you did all the other due diligence on the neighborhood and the area, well, they may be willing to compensate a lot more and write that offer. So I think it just puts you in a way better position.
Does that make sense to everybody? When you're selling the neighborhood, you're selling the lifestyle, you're repeating back. How many people get clients that say, we're in our 30s and, we want everything to be walkable, like where Ellie lives over there by Bayshore? How many of you guys deal with relocation clients?
Yep, got them right now.
And those people want to know about the neighborhood. And then, Chris, what do you do with the neighborhood guide on your listings?
Same concept. Goes into the neighborhood, goes into the community, and we put multiple of those in our listing, along with all the other things that we put in the listing in the kitchen counter area. We'll have the neighborhood guides there too. So that way, when buyers are there with their agents, and we know these agents aren't doing that, it's already there. So it makes them more likely to write the offer on your listing, because again, they're willing to compensate on some things because they're going to see that the community and the lifestyle that's lived there is everything that they want.
On the condo that you just listed, Chris, what did you also make for the buyer's agent?
We made a buyer showing guide. So the buyer showing
Telling the
guide,
buyer's agent what to do when they got there. And what did it say,
yep,
Chris?
it told them how to use the keys that are there to go to the amenity center. It told them how to get to the amenities center, how to get to the pool, what elevator to take, where to go, what direction to turn. And it told them, it basically gave them all the steps to do all those things. And so because it's not, again, not only showing the property, showing the amenities, which shows the lifestyle.
And so those are things that you guys have to think about as a listing agent. A lot of people are like, my listings aren't selling my list. Well, your listing sucks. And you're also relying on someone else to sell your product. Like no one does that in the retail world. If you created a shirt or a dress or a scarf and you're going to sell it, you're going to market it. Well, listing agents don't have that opportunity because buyer's agents are doing the showings. So this is a home tour guide for Jill and John Doe. How do Jill and John feel when they see prepared exclusively for Jill and John Doe? How do they feel?
For sure.
They feel special. How else do
Important.
they feel? Important. And also, you see how I tie the agent and the lender because we are a team. You cannot sell real estate without financing. Stop doing your job separately and become a team. Here, how did Jill and John feel when I repeated to them what their priorities are?
They
I
feel
was
heard.
listening. They
Mhm.
feel heard. Yep. They're like, Veda heard me. Alexia heard me. Ellie heard me. Must haves, deal breaker, lifestyle priority. What about the new Tampa real estate today? Competition level, what to inspect, pricing trends. You can edit that, make it whatever you want. Here's all the things about property number one with a first impression. Property number two, you can have as many of those as you want. All monthly payments are in there as well. How to evaluate each foam, I'm giving them directions. The Doe family filter, green lights, screen porch, no pool, comfortable distance, layout works for family, condition level, watch list, roof over age of 15 years, HVAC. If I did have any of that happening, I would negate it with providing a free home warranty to them. Understanding your monthly payment, this is really great. Now, you need to get really granular, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. But if I was showing a 65-year-old woman versus a 21-year-old first-time homebuyer, what I include in here, I'm going to be really specific with Gamma to say, hey, she's a visual learner. She doesn't like this. She doesn't like that. She's bought real estate before. She hasn't bought real estate before. So you can include some slides in there. But the bottom line is this provides them all the information, what their next steps are, So one of the things that I like to do with these is we do like if we're meeting a client for the first time to have a testimonial section in here. So for instance, we would have, if we're meeting a client, we might even have a QR code, but this would be write a testimonial on Betsy selling a house to a client. And let's say it was a, first time home buyer. Um, and I'm showing first time home buyers, I would have whatever testimonial I need. Obviously, try your best to have real testimonials. You really also should have, if you're on a team, you can leverage your team testimonials. Those are always reasons why you can have a QR code here. Gamma is also very easy to edit. I can put, make this more visual. I could tell it, make it a family holding a key to a house, whatever you want to do. You can add a slide about your experience, your certifications. If you're showing a client that knows you, that's not all necessary. This is more like for first time clients that have never seen you before, but very simple to go in here and simply edit your presentation. Here in the front, if I wanted to change this photo to be the photo of the property that we were actually showing, I could go to edit image. I can change this to web and I can put anything in here. This says modern Florida home with palm trees. I could put, a specific address, or I could put, like, we'll see if my neighbor's house comes up. Yep, that's my neighbor's house. So you could type in the address and put a picture of one of the houses that you're going to see. Very simple to edit images, very simple to like add some visual stuff. I can say add photos. I can say make this a graph and include and it's going to make that slide a graph with the new Tampa statistics. So now that I know that I'm showing real estate in New Tampa, first of all, with Gamma, you can share the link to the client. And if they view it ahead of time prior to the showings, you can see how many slides they viewed, how long they were on each slide, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, it's confused. No. Uh, It's asking me, do you want a line chart? Do you want a bar chart? Do you want what kind of chart? Let's do line chart. So very, very simple, a lot more easier than Canva. How many of you think this would be, helpful for your showings? So it just made it a line chart, automatically populated that in there. Do you guys want me to make a neighborhood guide before we leave? You guys want me to do a neighborhood guide? I'll show you what we can do with ChatGPT here. So you just start a new chat in here. I'm showing homes in New Tampa. Please give me the Gamma prompt to make a neighborhood guide. Talk about the entire lifestyle of living in New Tampa, so my buyers will know what it's like to live there. So I'm just telling chat, I'm showing, homes in New Tampa. I want to know about the lifestyle to live there, and it's going to give me all these prompts. Here you can see it says best communities. Create sections for these communities, include all these different things. Check out how detailed this research goes. I mean, this is going to be mind blowing for you guys. It's going to break out every community. You don't have to do any research anymore because when you ask ChatGPT for the prompt and you're using Gamma, it's all AI based. So this is going to break out. Oh, maybe not. This is going to break out all the communities, everything in here. I'm going to make it like 13 cards. And we're just going to click edit here. And then we're going to talk about the new Tampa lifestyle. While this is generating, I'm going to open up the last 5 minutes for Q&A while this is generating, and then we'll review this and I'll get you guys out of here on time. But thinking about ways you can use this in your business, thinking about ways that this may have like shocked you of what you could do with it, how you think you could use it, any questions you have for me. Let's just open up for Q&A. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? Nobody? Alexia, Carmen, Chris, Ellie, Kim, Sandra, Veda? Anybody?
I don't have any questions, B, but I do want to say that, you know, implementing this stuff in my business and working these clients with all these tools that you've given me has definitely changed the game. All my clients see me as a neighborhood expert, no matter where it is. It opens the door to writing offers quicker. It helps you seem like the expert every time. And it definitely cultivates the loyalty from your clients. They're not going to want to go look at another agent or work with another agent because they know nobody's going to do your job the way you're doing it. So that's all I got to say on that.
Thanks, buddy. When Chris shows up with a showing folder and he has all this stuff in it, do you think if that's a first time client, they're going to question signing a buyer broker agreement with him?
Called training.
No.
It hasn't happened.
Nope. So this is a way to make you look, we can go through some of these slides. So living in New Tampa, the lifestyles, the communities, the schools, the dining, welcome to New Tampa. It talks about prime location perks. It talks about a commute snapshot. Do you remember when we had to Google all of this and how long this would take if we Googled it and we had to make our own Canva presentation? Crazy, right? What makes New Tampa special? Golf and resort living, strong appreciation, parks and trails, master plan design. A day in the life of New Tampa. You can go into ChatGPT and actually just say, hey, I'm Chris Joda, real estate agent in Florida. Show me a day in the life of this community in a presentation. Give me that gamma prompt, right? Best communities in New Tampa. Look, it breaks down Tampa Palms, Hunter Green, Arbor Green, West Meadows, Corey Lake, Grand Hampton, Heritage Isle, Live Oak. This is a great thing to send to a client that you just started working with. I would say, hey, you're relocating to Florida. I want to tell you a little bit about New Tampa. I think we should look here. Send this. How do you think that client's going to feel? And you could also title this, Living in New Tampa Guide for Jill and John Doe, right? Golf and country club living, Hunters Green, Tampa Palms, Heritage Isles. Schools and education. You can make a whole packet on just golf courses or just A-rated schools. You can take this gamma and do neighborhood, lifestyle, schools. You can do a whole one on coffee shops if you want to do. Here's the public schools. Here's the private higher education schools. Here's restaurant and local dining. All these gives you all the coffee spots. Here's some shopping and entertainment. Here's some parks and outdoor nature. You can include free activities. You can include kid-friendly communities. You can do whatever you want. If someone tells you, hey, I want walkable places in South Tampa only, make me a guide of where someone should live with walkable places in South Tampa. Ask ChatGPT for the prompt and drop it into Gamma. Here is some Flatwood Wilderness, Lettuce Lake Regional Park, dog parks and communities, pickleball and sports parks. If you have someone that's into the gym, into fitness, into Pilates, here's fitness, wellness, and healthy living. You think that's kind of cool, Carmen?
I just can't wait till I put this all in practice. Honestly, I'm not there, but I will be there. And there's just so
But this
much.
is, yeah, this is like when you get your first lead, though. When you put this into practice, it's going to be so helpful because you're going to be so confident at a showing.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So you're actually at an advantage because you're learning this first. Betsy, can I get a one-on-one? Ellie, you got to pay for that. Carmen, Ellie wants a one-on-one session. How much should we charge her for that?
$50 an hour.
Carmen said to charge you, Ellie. So,
Kidding,
so
Ellie.
do you guys see all of these different things? Like here's fitness and wellness, right? Here's commute and accessibility. How would a client relocating feel when you said, "Hey, I made you one on New Tampa, South Tampa, and Riverview. Check it out." And people don't care about your graphics. They don't care about if it's perfect. They care about the information. They care about the thought process. They care about what you're doing. Who's moving to New Tampa? Medical professionals, growing families, remote workers.
Well, you still don't.
I sealed them, Veda. What'd you say, Veda?
Oh, I said I think the client would be very impressed with this. It just kind of sets the agent apart and shows that they are kind of invested in helping the client find the best place to land in terms of where they want to live.
And it's fast for us, right? I mean,
Yes.
if we had to do 6 of these a week, and people ask Chris all the time, how do you have time to prepare these showing folders? But when you're using AI and you have tools like this and you start making this a routine, then it becomes a situation where really in reality, you know, and look at what it says. Having an experienced local agent like Betsy means you'll navigate these factors with confidence. More than a home, it's a lifestyle. So you have all this information and data in one guide, which you can share up here with a link. You can download it as a PDF and print it and put it in the showing folder. And then you can have some generic ones of these that aren't custom client facing, one for New Tampa, one for Riverview. And what does this do for you as a real estate agent as you're studying this information? Think about that, you guys. You're studying these neighborhoods, right? It's helping you become educated.
Absolutely.
So I hope that you guys implement this in your business. AI can generate forever when I'm on Zoom, so it'll generate forever. I don't want to keep you guys past 6:30. We will make sure there's a replay of this call and we'll get you the documents that you guys can use in your business. I'll take note of everybody that was on the call. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. When you invest in yourself, you win every single time. I invest in education in myself, so pat yourself on the back for coming tonight. We appreciate all of you. There's never a stupid question. And I look forward to seeing you in the next coming weeks. If you're watching this on replay, click the link in the description below for any more information if you're wanting to connect with us. I hope you all have a great evening.